Hi, it's Tori. We're taking it out to the grill today. So this is our mise en place. We're going to grill this beautiful pork chop. It's about 2.5 inches thick. And I have my salt and pepper. And then I have some honey barbecue sauce, my tongs. I have my plate with my pork chop. And then I have a clean plate to put my pork chop on at the very end. This is one of the best things that I've seen in a long time. So I used to use a barbecue scraper. Now I don't use a barbecue scraper. I just use balled up tin foil. So whenever we grill, we just save our tin foil, because look what happens when I use the tin foil on the grill. You saw my grill? It just takes everything right off. So the first thing we're gonna do is clean off our grill. So we turned on our grill. We have it on high on 3 burners. We have 1 pork chop that we're going to cook, and we want to make sure that we have the lid down so it can preheat. We're looking for the grill temperature to be around between 400 and 500 degrees Fahrenheit, or 200 and about 250 Celsius. For our barbecue pork chop, we have our mise en place. I've separated things. So I have a side that I have clean dishes, and I have a side that I will have my dirty dishes and kind of my working station. So on this side, I have my salt and pepper, which I'm going to put on both sides of my pork chop, my thermometer, which is going to check for the doneness in the meat. And then on this side of my grill, I have my tongs, and I have a clean plate, so my landing plate. Our grill's heated up, so let's get our pork chop seasoned. Salt is a bit like brining our meat. So I'm going to salt one side. I've washed my hands. I'm going to flip this over. And salt the other side. And then I'm going to take my salt and pepper. My pepper. Now that we have that salt on there, I'm going to put some pepper on both sides. And then we're going to start grilling. So put some salt and pepper on my pork chop. I'm just going to place my pork chop on the heat. So I'm going to make some grill marks on my pork chop. And the thing I like to do is think about the grill like a clock. So if you think about having your pork chop at 10 o'clock on a clock, and then we're going to move it to 2 o'clock, that's what's going to give us those hash marks. And then we're going to flip it and repeat the process. I'm going to stay with my grill. I'm going to turn my grill down a little bit. I started it on high. I have it on about medium high right now. And then I'm going to close the lid, and we're going to sear this. So we're looking for the Maillard reaction, which is when we caramelize meat, and we can see on the caramelized meat the change in the protein and the sugars in the meat, and it will make everything really like caramelized and brown. That's what gives meat that extra flavor. It's been about 5 minutes. I'm just going to check the one side to see how we're doing. So we have those hash marks on the one side. Like I said, I'm going to turn my pork chop. So it is at 2 o'clock now. So I just gave it from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. I'm going to turn my grill down a little bit because I want to make sure that inside of that pork chop is fully cooked. We have a bone-in pork chop today. And then I'll close the lid and we'll check it again. We're just about to flip that pork chop. Ooh, and look at that Maillard action happening here. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. The other side had gone for about 8 minutes. sorry, I switched my sides. So my clean, I got rid of my dish that was dirty, and now I have my clean side on this side. See you in about 4 minutes. I'm just going to turn my pork chop again so I get some nice grill marks on the other side. So the technique that we're using today uses direct heat on a grill. If I wanted to use indirect heat, that would mean that I would have half my grill off, half my grill on, and I would actually be cooking food on this side of the grill. So if something's going to take a long time and I'm worried about the outside browning, I would start it on this side of the grill that is indirect and then move it to direct heat. This pork chop is going to take a little bit of time to cook, so we will check for our doneness. I'm just going to let it go for about 3 more minutes. Then I'm going to put some barbecue sauce on one side. For the last 2 minutes, I'm going to flip it, and then I'm going to let that barbecue sauce cook on the grill. And then I'll flip it again, let the other side cook on the grill. We'll check for our doneness before we do that to make sure that we are at a good spot to put our barbecue sauce on. We're going to check to make sure that our meat is done. We have some nice searing on one side. We have searing on the other side. We have that really nice Maillard action happening. So here's my pork chop. I'm going to go not into the bone. I'm going to go into the thickest part of the pork chop, which for this pork chop is in the middle. I want to avoid the fat. I don't want to poke this directly through the other side of the meat. I want to make sure that the inside of the meat's done. So we're going to check the middle of the meat, not the where we want to check for doneness. So we'll let that catch up here. So you can see we're getting close to 145. This is when I'm going to put on some barbecue sauce, and I will use my tongs. I don't have a basting brush here, so I'll use my tongs to spread that out. I will show you what's going on, and then we will let the meat rest for about 5 minutes. If we cut into it right away, all the juices are going to spill out. If we let it rest, they will all stay inside. So I don't have a basting brush here. I just use the side of my tongs. Move that barbecue sauce around to the edges. We know that it's cooked, so I'm going to flip it right over because we like our barbecue sauce to be nice and sticky. We just have to get it on that grill. I will immediately do the other side too, so that when we flip it back over, we only want this on. Barbecue sauce can burn really quickly on the barbecue, so we only want this on for maybe a minute just to get it nice and sticky. Same thing, I'm going to use the side of my tongs, push this around. Grills. They have hot spots, they have cold spots. You get to know where everything is, but I don't want this on the hottest spot. On my grill, the hottest spot is at the back. At the start of the season, grilling season, because I don't grill here all the time. What I do is I put slices of bread all across my grill. With it turned on, I start to flip the slices of bread so they're all on around the same time, and then I can see which ones are more toasted, which ones aren't as toasted, and then I know the hot and cold spots of my grill. We'll take this off when it's done. I'll keep you with me, and so you can see the final product. And when we take it off, like I said, we're going to let it rest. So we're about a minute on the one side. You can see it's gotten a lot less runny and more sticky. So we'll do the same thing on this side. We have our clean plate on the other side now. So here's the other side. We're going to put our pork chop on our plate. Sorry, I just wanted to check both sides there. Here's our finished pork chop. We are going to let it rest for about 5 minutes. I will season it with salt and pepper in the meantime. So we've let this rest for about 5 minutes. We will cut into this beauty and see what it looks like on the inside. I wouldn't normally cut my meat right in the middle, but I want to show you how amazing this pork chop looks. It's still moist. Pork and chicken are tricky because if you overdo them, they aren't moist anymore. So here is our final pork chop. Enjoy! Delicious.